Welcome back to another installment of Trailer Trash TV. I'm your host, Scotty J. First of all, I gotta thank each and everybody that's been involved with Trailer Trash over these past several years. And we're gonna launch right into our Hitchcock block, as it were. We're gonna kick into 1963's The Birds, probably my favorite Hitchcock film of all time, followed by Marny from 1964. So with that said, we're gonna take a look at these, and we'll be right back to chat about the Master of Suspense.
How do you do? My name is Alfred Hitchcock, and I would like to tell you about my forthcoming lecture. It is about the birds and their age-long relationship with man. It will be seen in theaters like this across the country. In my lecture, I hope to make you all aware of our good friends, the birds. Theirs is a noble history, and through it all, man has played a conspicuous part. This cave drawing is one of man's earliest sketches of his feathered friend. One can see at once the loving care with which the artist depicted his subject. The story of man and his friends, the birds, is filled with many fine examples of ways in which these noble creatures have added to the beauty of the world. Take this plumed hat from the period of Charles I. How proud the birds must have been to have their feathers plucked out to brighten man's drab life. Here we have a later model, a refinement of the first. Here man, or rather woman, thought enough of the birds to have an entire one as a decoration. It's quite dead, of course. Naturally, the egg plays a very prominent part in my lecture. Not a word about which came first, however. I don't believe in dealing with controversial matters. Thousands of years ago, man was satisfied merely to steal an egg from a nest and use it for food. Now he has perfected this process by imprisoning each hen in a separate cage and by scientifically manipulating the lights so that she doesn't fall into the rut of the old 24-hour day. Thus he can induce the bird to reach fantastic heights of egg production. Originally, there were many varieties of birds on Earth. Some have become extinct. The great auk, the passenger pigeon, and the famous dodo bird have all disappeared. Actually, they didn't exactly disappear. They were simply killed off, but of course, this is nature's way. Man merely hurries the process along whenever he can be of help. Man and birds have been responsible for a great many advances in our civilization. For example, the bird was the inspiration for the invention of gunpowder, and it was his speed that brought about the development of the shotgun. But man has not been unmindful of his debt to the bird. We have honored our feathered friends in many ways. We cage birds and show them off proudly in most of our zoos. And the turkey is traditionally our guest of honor at Thanksgiving. I suspect you never realized that if it weren't for birds, even some of our pastimes would suffer noticeably. Duck hunting, for example. Granted, bagging a fellow hunter can be diverting, but the supply is rather limited. I hope you don't mind if I have something to eat, but I'm rushed today. Planning the lecture has been most educational for me. I've begun to feel very close to the birds and have developed a real sympathy for our little... What was I saying? Oh yes, I've come to feel very close to the birds and have come to realize how they feel when... I don't think I'll eat just now. Hardly proper with all of you here. Surely the birds appreciate all we've done for them. Don't you? Beautiful cage, fresh water, no other birds to bother you, none of that blinding sunlight. Oh! Now, why would he do that? Most peculiar. What on earth? latest motion picture, Marny, which will be coming to this theater soon. Marny is a very difficult picture to classify. It is not psycho, nor do we have a horde of birds flapping about and pecking at people willy-nilly. We do have two very interesting human specimens, a man and a woman. One might call Marny a sex mystery, that is, if one used such words. But it is more than that. Perhaps the best way to tell you about the picture is to show you a few scenes. This is Mark coming down the stairs of his family home outside Philadelphia. He is a thoughtful man, dark and brooding. He is, in a sense, a hunter. And this is what he is hunting, Marny. Seeing her in her mother's modest house, one wonders how two such different people could cross paths. It was certainly not Marny's idea. Marny was going about her own business like any normal girl. Happy, happy, happy. Suddenly, into this colorful life comes Mark. At first, he didn't know what to make of Marny. She does seem a rather excitable type. What would account for this strange behavior? Has she just realized that she forgot her umbrella?
The colors. Stop the colors.
What colors?
Marny's trouble goes deeper than that. Far deeper. And this is the problem which Mark must probe. But first picture is all sex and no mystery. Not so at all. Here, for example, Marny is speaking to, I'm not sure who actually, but he is a man from her past. A past she seems to be denying. Oh dear, they're at it again. Let me assure you that this is all in the spirit of investigation. And this, here is further proof that Marny is a talking picture.
You don't love me. I'm just something you've caught. You think I'm some kind of animal you've trapped.
That's right, you are. And I've caught something really wild this time, haven't I? I've tracked you and caught you, and by God, I'm going to keep you.
That should be quite enough. If you wish to hear more, you will have to buy a ticket. As for which one of them is the wild animal, there are times when I'm not sure. I don't think that was necessary. Actually, I think I should withhold comment, since I'm not certain I understand this scene. I shall leave the explanation to your own vivid imagination. It would appear that Mark has a single solution for all problems. This is not so. Mark is a complex man, dark and forbidding. He can also be kind and considerate. And he is also a troubled man. Troubled because he cannot seem to unravel the mystery of the girl called Marny.
Alfred Hitchcock was underrated in a lot of ways. He was respected by the Hollywood community throughout the 30s through the 60s, and yet a lot of people didn't really appreciate all the work he did, since he wasn't that well known in America up until the 50s and 60s, starting with Dial M for Murder, is when he got the due recognition he deserved here. The Birds from 1963. Classic use of masking and chroma keying and the newer effects that Hollywood had instilled. Marny from 1964. Excellent film all the way around. With that said, we're going to be taking a break and probably come back with the most well-known Hitchcock film of all time and a very special trailer for Psycho when we return.
Hi. I'm Eddie Albert. If I seem a little out of place, it's probably because laundry is just not my line. But you don't have to be an expert to see that Biz, Procter & Gamble's new pre-soak invention, is better than other enzyme soakers. You see this tough berry stain? Soak one just like it in another enzyme soaker, and you'll still see berry stain after it's washed. Soak an identical stain in Biz, it washes out. Test Biz yourself on tough laundry problems. You'll see. Biz is better.
Don't use Comet. Josephine, is there a better cleanser?
Yup. New Super Comet with chlorinol 3. It gets out stains when other leading cleansers can't. Tough, greasy food stains like these. I'll sprinkle another cleanser and new Super Comet and let them work. Now, see what happens as I rub?
Comet's removing the stain.
Yep. Comet gets out stains when other leading cleansers can't. Use new Super Comet.
Mother always told me, sit up straight, eat all your vegetables, and stay out of small foreign cars. But Joey, Mother never told me about Ultra Bright.
We'll tell you. Ultra Bright has more whitener than any leading toothpaste, yet it's as safely gentle for teeth as the leading children's fluoride.
Mother had a feeling I might be too appealing, so Mother never told me about Ultra Bright.
Son of a...
Okay. What I'm about to show in this installment of Trailer Trash TV is my final block in the Hitchcock block. Probably my favorite Hitchcock film of all time. And not only was he a master filmmaker, he was a master at the movie trailer as well. I'm proud to have this in my collection. This is a literally a full-length trailer, almost a sales film for the Alfred Hitchcock classic from 1961, Psycho. It's really cool in a lot of respects. Hitchcock introducing the film, and more or less it's not even scenes from the film. It's done more as a teaser. So with that said, let's check this out, and we'll discuss it more in depth when we come back.
Good afternoon. Here we have a quiet little motel, tucked away off the main highway, and as you see, perfectly harmless looking, when in fact, it has now become known as the scene of the crime. This motel also has, as an adjunct, an old house, which is, if I may say so, a little more sinister looking, less innocent than the motel itself. And in this house, the most dire, horrible events took place. I think we can go inside because the place is up for sale, although I don't know who's going to buy it now. In that window on the second floor, the single one in front, that's where the woman was first seen. Let's go inside. You see, even in daylight, this place still looks a bit sinister. Now, it was at the top of these stairs that the second murder took place. She came out of the door there and met the victim at the top. Of course, in a flash, there was the knife, And in no time, the victim tumbled and fell with a horrible crash. I think the back broke immediately and hit the floor. It's difficult to describe the way that the twisting of the well, I won't dwell upon it. Come upstairs. Of course, the victim, or should I say victims, hadn't any conception as to the type of people they would be confronted with in this house, especially the woman. She was the weirdest and the most... Well, let's go into her bedroom. Here's the woman's room, still beautifully preserved. And the imprint of her figure on the bed where she used to lay. I think some of her clothes are still in this wardrobe. This was the son's room, but we won't go in there because his favorite spot was the little parlor behind his office in the motel. Let's go down there. This young man, you had to feel sorry for him. After all, being dominated by an almost maniacal woman was enough to drive anyone to the extreme of, well, let's go in. Well, I suppose you'd call this his hideaway. His hobby, as you see, was taxidermy. Crow here, an owl there. Now, an important scene took place in this room. There was a private supper here. And, oh, by the way, this picture has great significance because, let's go along to cabin number 1. I want to show you something there. All tidied up. The bathroom. Well, they've cleaned all this up now. Big difference. You should have seen the blood. The whole place was, well, it's too horrible to describe. Dreadful. And I'll tell you, there's a very important clue was found here. Down there. Well, the murderer, you see, crept in here very slowly. Of course, the shower was on, there was no sound. And,
Okay. You know, I kept telling you this season was going to go out with a bang, and I think we're well on our way. 1960 Psycho, groundbreaking in the way the trailer was presented as more of a teaser, introduced by the director himself. The only other director I'd come up with at the top of my head who appeared in his own, not only cameos in his own film, but introducing his stuff in the trailers as well. That would be one William Castle. introduced his own trailers as well. But Hitchcock was still the master all the way around. Psycho from 1960 with a young Janet Leigh and Anthony Perkins. So with that said, we're going to take a break. And keeping with the whole Vegas theme, we're going to take a little trip back in time on the Strip with the Pack, the Rat Pack.
The party tonight. Okay. Roast beef, potato salad, stuffed olive, and an air conditioner.
Air conditioner.
Big enough to cool all 3 rooms.
Introducing an air conditioner powerful enough to cool several rooms, yet so portable you can buy it today, install it today. The Fedders 230-volt, 20,000 BTU portable. Only from Fedders, the experts in air conditioning.
I put it in myself today.
Wow.
This is a Kellogg computer. It's going to show us how Kellogg's cereal assortments put more in everyone's morning. For just about everyone, Kellogg's Variety, 10 individual size servings. For adults, Request Pack. The Kellogg cereals grown-ups ask for most. For kids, Snack Pack, sweet and nourishing. For big families, Jumbo Assortment. There's a Kellogg assortment pack just right for your family.
If you're confused by central air conditioning, talk to the experts. Fedders. We make central air conditioning for office buildings, homes, factories, any building you want to cool. Fedders has a system to fit it. We make over 1,000 different systems, most of them pre-packaged to save you time and money. That's what makes Fedders the experts in central air conditioning. Call your Fedders contractor. He's in the yellow pages.
B-A-N-A-N-A. Today, little bananas, I'm going to teach you how to draw and color with Bic Banana Ink crayons. These are Bic Banana Ink crayons. See what smooth lines the Bic Banana Ink crayons make. They also make fat lines. See what bright colors Bic Banana Ink crayons make. So, little bananas, there's lots you can learn about coloring and drawing with Bic Banana Ink crayons at school. After all, I should know. I am the Big Banana.
There's only one Bic Banana Ink crayon available wherever school supplies are sold.
That's spinach, isn't it, Donna? And Janie, that's chocolate ice cream. Well, just about anything they can do, Axion can undo. This dress had a chocolate ice cream stain, too. But pre-soaked in Axion before detergent washing, no more stain. Try the one new laundry product Janie and I recommend. Colgate's new Axion, right?
Right.
Oh, son of a son of a son of a
Okay. First of all, I can't tell you how much fun it has been doing Trailer Trash all this season. A lot of new stuff, a lot of the same old favorites. And by all means, let me know what you think. sktrailertrash at Yahoo. Let me know if you have any comments. You know, if you love me, if you hate me. Yeah, let me know, because that just lets me know that you're watching the show either way. Secondly, www.trailertrashtv.150m.com is the website. Utilize it, abuse it, check it out nonetheless. And with that said, like I said, with these last few shows with the Vegas theme, having been to Vegas for the first time in my godforsaken life of 39 years, I figured, you know, this is a good way to end the trailers this time around for this season. We're going to take a little visit down Vegas way, down memory lane, the early days, the heyday of the Vegas Strip, if you will. We're going to go with Frank, Dean, Sammy, Joey, Peter, and anybody and everybody involved with the Rat Pack at the time. I'm going to show I have come into my possession all 4 of the major Rat Pack films. This took a little bit of digging, took a little bit of time to get them together, but it's a style that, you know, you can keep a lot of these. Like Sergeant's 3 has yet to be released to video due to tie-ups with the Sinatra estate. 4 for Texas, hilarious Western comedy that Dean Martin and Frank were involved in. Robin and the Seven Hoods, classic Chicago version retelling of the original Robin Hood story. And rounding out this block, you know, I got a lot of issues with the George Clooney remake of, as well as the sequel that shouldn't have been made, as I call it, Ocean's 12. Made no sense whatsoever to remake something as classic as this. So we've got the original full-length Ocean's 11. Watch the boys take down Vegas and succeed. So with that said, we're gonna launch into these. And you know, I gotta say something. For the last few weeks, I've been doing these little bits with One Officer Brian. It's all been in fun. These were taped some time ago, as you can tell by the lack of locks now. But they're all done in good fun, but yet they all have a serious message. So we're gonna take a break after the evening with the Rat Pack, and we'll be right back with Officer Brian. Stay tuned.
Howdy, partner. Just call me Tex. I don't want to fool you. I'm not a cowboy, honest. I'm a girl. But I just finished my first American Western movie called 4 for Texas. It stars Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Anita Ekberg, and me, Ursula Andress. But I tell you, that until I came here to make this movie, I had no idea the Wild West could be so wild. Maybe it's just those boys, Frank and Dean. Anita and I did everything we could to make it into a nice, civilized picture. But then they insist on fighting all the time. They're so rough. But then I guess that's the way cowboys are supposed to be.
This is the story of a fellow who came into great good fortune. Another fellow who wanted to separate him from that fortune.
Don't try and talk me out of this loot, Zach.
Ordinarily, $100,000 be enough for two, but
I think I'll quit while I'm ahead. Now, nothing personal, Zach. Nothing personal. I'm beginning to like you, too. And, when a guy can try to con you with a gun held on him, he can't be all bad.
Yes, 2 guys with a stagecoach full of money. A gang of crazy henchmen. Some crazy to kill.
You? No, not me. Him.
Some just crazy.
Would you please help me out? Here's 2 mental midgets, and I'm trying to straighten them out. When I say go, we'll all point to the right. Go!
And 2 ladies, all set to bust up the West.
In this country, you really need only a little patience and self-discipline.
Discipline?
Yes. To know what to give and when to give it. And I must say, my dear, you do know when and what.
All right, men, let's go.
For Texas is an exciting adventure of our courageous pioneer forefathers in the Old West. And if any of them really carried on like this, it's a wonder we ever got here.
If Mr. Thomas ever gets tired of me and spends his evenings with other ladies...
He'll cut his own throat. Oh, no, Max. You wouldn't be thinking about marriage.
Of course not.
That's why I like you, Max. You got brains. You're just like a man.
I'm glad you feel that way. Then it doesn't trouble you that I'm a woman.
Well, I guess if I have to die, I don't mind dying at the hands of a beautiful woman.
Be careful, my darling. You may just have your wish.
Take it from me, partner. The Far West has never been so far out.
White man kill many Indian. Who responsible for this massacre?
It is the thin one.
Will you stop clowning around and get up here? He must be out of his mind. What he think he doing?
He remake Gunga Din as a Western.
Me no accept that.
Can you? Are you ready for Sergeants 3, starring Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, and Joey Bishop? The wildest Western with the strangest cast in history. Don't miss it.
Me miss it if me want to. Yeah. Robin Hood. Yeah. Frank Sinatra is Robin.
It's like when they started the United States, you know, they put all the states together and they made one union. And I'm like the first president.
Give my regards to Martha. Dean Martin is Little John. Sammy Davis Jr. is Will Scarlett. Alan Adale, you know who they got? Bing Crosby, for heaven's sakes.
You're a very popular man, Mr. Robbo. An honest-to-goodness Robin Hood.
Who's Maid Marian, you ask? Barbara Rush.
Why do I get the feeling I'm being had?
Now, take it easy, fellas. This is just a trailer. Let the management hasten to assure you that this Robin maintains the same high ideals as his literary progenitors. Take, for example, the emphasis on civic spirit.
My kind of town,
Chicago!
my kind of town.
Chicago!
And for a great big hunk of old-fashioned, red-blooded sentiment, you'll have to go a long way to match this one.
But I'd say a man who loves his mother is man enough for me. What's your racket? I'm a brain surgeon.
What boy wouldn't thrill at this stirring call to the manly art of self-defense?
'Cause no one I know gets such a glow out of bang, bang like me.
Could anyone doubt a production that includes an ethical exhortation of this caliber?
Take it from me, don't be a do-batter, do-batter, do-batter. You put your foot on that ladder to lead you to that place.
Tireless in their search for uplifting themes, our stars even find time for the sartorial virtues. And to polish it all off, a screen full of pretty faces.
So she came from Charleston, Charleston. Charlotte couldn't Charleston to save her soul.
Keep your eye on Danny Ocean. He's the quiet guy in the middle of it all. He's the guy with the big idea. He's calling a summit meeting of his own, and it's going to be a summit to top them all. Now, all he needs are 11 men, like, say, 11 ex-paratroopers from his old outfit. And you'd be amazed where you can find an ex-paratrooper these days. You look in a bar, and there's Harmon playing alcoholic piano. Or you turn up DSM winner Josh in a fleet of trash trucks. Jimmy Foster is sure to be wherever there's the most of anything. A guy like Bergdorf's been playing some very long odds. And Mushy's sticking close to the money. But when Danny called, they came. And what they heard was a plan of independent initiative and individual enterprise to stir the spirit of every...
Lights! Lights!
How'd it come off?
Like a charm.
Same here. Fantastic.
Oh, Danny, what a prize you are. The only husband in the world who'd proposition his own wife.
Well, I married you once and it didn't work out too well, so what's wrong with a little hey-hey?
Get her out of here.
Hey, give me a little kiss.
Sound idea. It's constructive.
You
yeah.
wait right there, and I'll be there in a minute.
I'll wait for you.
Hello, Sam. How are you?
Oh, same as always. I move, I breathe, I seem to feel the thrill of life along the keel.
You sound like a ferry boat.
I'm not a ferry boat, I'm a very manly sloop. Wherever I go, people stare at me in dumb admiration.
Yeah, what happens when they speak?
What's so funny? I knew this color would come in handy one day.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
How do you get this stuff off?
Well, what I usually...
Hi, Beth. Come on, Linda. The sitter's here.
In a minute.
We'll be home early, Beth. Just help yourself. TV, soft drinks, potato chips.
Oh, I got my own, thanks.
Your own potato chips?
Pringles' newfangled potato chips.
Pringles?
Once you've tried them, other potato chips just don't stack up. They're made a new way, Mr. Stewart. They're perfect. Look, they're crush-proof. Resealable stack pack. Airtight, too. Keeps the chips all fresh and unbroken. As many as in this big bag. See?
Hey, that's a lot.
Hi, Beth. Hi.
Okay, let's go.
Oh, these look great.
Phil, we'll be late.
They taste even better than they look.
Phil, we'll be late.
Pringles newfangled potato chips. Once you've tried them, other potato chips just don't stack up.
Magnavox introduces the only modular solid-state color TV that automatically adjusts its picture to changes in room light. The Videomatic eye actually sees the light change and signals the control module to compensate for the change. So what you see is the most consistently color-right picture possible. Total automatic color with exclusive Videomatic is what makes Magnavox the most totally automatic color TV in the world. Total automatic color with Videomatic. Magnavox gives you more.
New Camaro, Super Hugger. If it were just an ordinary Sportster, Chevy might have introduced it at the ordinary time, but it isn't, so we didn't.
I drive my Camaro from the mountains to the sea. Won't you wait and take a little ride with me?
Chevy built a whole new car from the road up with an improved road-hugging suspension that lets you feel the road without feeling the bumps. With all this go, you get plenty of stop. Front disc brakes are standard.
Isn't this a little too much? I said you could use my Camaro, but not all the time, Dad.
Okay, if that's the way you feel about it, I'll save up and buy one of my own.
New Camaro, the Super Hugger. See it at your Chevy dealers. After all, it's not how young you are. It's how old you aren't.
Oh, son of a gun.
You thought I was going to say, son of a bitch, didn't you?
Hey, welcome back to Trailer Trash TV. I am yet again your host, Scotty J. I know some of you may or may not have been concerned last week. Some of you may have been hoping you'd end up with a new host, but we're not going to go there. Secondly, you know, you saw the little bits I did with Brian here over the last few weeks. It was all done in jest, all done in fun, but yet at the same time, there is no underlying message to all of this, as you've seen through the Classroom Classics over the course of this season. I'm showing a lot of the classic driver's ed films for a reason. Myself, having been in a couple infractions, for lack of a better term, and that's all I'm going to say, I know the seriousness of some of these offenses, and right now I'm actually going to bring Officer Brian in to talk about the dangers of drinking and driving.
Thank you, Scotty. I appreciate having fun with you here on set. Drinking and driving is a serious offense that is, of course, increasing all the time in our metro area because of the increase in population, which does cause to be more cars on the roadway, and thus the accidents are more serious, and we are increasing our numbers all the time. Not to mention, people should remember that the new law coming into effect, lowering the limit to .08, is going to increase the number of people arrested for drinking and driving. And you can bet that the state is going to see some increased enforcement of that new .08 law when it does come into effect. The best thing to do is just have a designated driver. Don't drink and drive. Your limits will be much lower than they were before. You aren't going to be able to gauge them. Don't even try, because the consequences and the outcome can be deadly for some people.
Well, ain't that the truth? So when you're normally watching this or any other show, Friday, Saturday night especially, holidays are particularly deadly for some seriously still unknown reason. But just, you know, be careful. Pass the keys off if you're going specifically to drink. You know, and that's all I got to say on the matter. So enjoy yourselves, but enjoy yourself in moderation. Don't get hurt and don't hurt anyone else. So on behalf of Officer Brian, Scotty J, on behalf of myself and everybody else involved with Trailer Trash TV this year, we'll see you next time.
Only of safety officials and police officers, but the Medical Association. This is an alcohol driver's test, conducted on a specially prepared driving range near Reno. What actually happens when an otherwise good driver gets behind the wheel while under the influence? Modern life is geared to the automobile, a complex mechanism that in itself must be operated by an even more complex entity, you. The act of driving requires quick reactions, good coordination, clear vision, and split-second judgment. Yet today's motorized civilization, more than ever, likes to socialize, relax their tensions, enjoy life. Most people usually think of alcohol as a stimulant, but it isn't. The impression of stimulation is simply a lessening of inhibitions. Alcohol is actually a type of anesthetic, chemically related to ether and chloroform. So in a sense, as you drink, you are becoming anesthetized. But does a little alcohol, just a drink or two, really affect you? The tests you are about to see will prove that as little as 0.04% alcohol in the blood reduces visual acuity as much as if you were wearing dark glasses after sundown.
see your driver's license, please?
Sure.
Have you been drinking this evening, Mr. Dempsey?
No, not at all.
How did you happen to
Maybe
park
one or two.
Sir?
One, maybe one or two at the most.
One or two at the most?
Yeah.
Mr. Dempsey, would you mind getting out of your automobile, please? Would you be willing to take a sobriety test?
Well, yes. Sure, I'll take one.
Before I give you the examination, Mr. Dempsey, I want to advise you that anything you say or do, sir, may be used as evidence against you in court. Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand that. Sure.
He's lucky. This time, he's only going to be embarrassed. For running a red light, he could have been embalmed. It can happen anytime, anywhere, to anyone. But being under the influence doesn't help. It was to determine how much a driver is adversely affected by relatively small amounts of alcohol that the Nevada Alco driver test was developed. The first was the reaction test, to see how fast the subject could react and brake on signal. The officer actuated a mechanism that fired a marker onto the pavement. The subject hit the brake as fast as possible. This fired another marker. The reaction distance was measured. A good average for sober drivers was 0.55 seconds. Now, driving test number 2. Designed to check the subject's ability to maneuver a vehicle in close quarters. The next day, the party. Each subject was allowed a predetermined amount of alcohol based on body mass. A breath test was given to aid in determining the alcohol consumption level. And each subject was also given a blood test. This shows the alcohol level of the blood and is an accepted way of measuring the degree of intoxication. 0.15% is widely accepted as an indication that a person is under the influence. With the average individual, this occurs with just a few highballs. Then came an analysis of visual acuity, color vision, the all-important test for depth perception, visual reaction time, and so on. Then came the moment of truth. After all the speculation and the generalizations about driving while under the influence, the guinea pig drivers are ready to confirm or deny. Jim, subject number 5, for example, took 50% longer to react when under the influence, as did Marge, subject number 12. The second phase, measurement of the subject's ability to drive smoothly, coordinate, and maneuver in close quarters, showed that alcohol ruined the previous day's scores for everyone. The penalties amassed by the participants represented minor collisions, bent fenders, damage to structures, and possible serious accidents if they had really been driving in traffic. The girls scored as poorly as the men. What did the tests prove? Peripheral vision dropped nearly 18 degrees with the consumption of alcohol. The all-important sense of depth perception deteriorated to only 26% of normal. Reaction time, a life and death factor, increased dangerously about 25 to 50% with the intake of alcohol. In conclusion, the medical summary.
The Alco driver experiment proves without a doubt that a person's ability to operate a motor vehicle can be seriously impaired at levels far below the 0.15% blood alcohol content. The presumptive standard, equal to about 7 drinks, is not a realistic figure. Immediate consideration should be given to reducing the under the influence standard downward to the 0.10%.
I can't do it in the shoes.
But would you like to take it off?
Yes, please.
None of these people planned to put themselves on display like this. They were caught in the driver's seat after they had put others, as well as their own lives, in jeopardy. Two average highballs contain an ounce of alcohol. It will take your body about 3 hours to oxidize it. If you have had 3 or 4 drinks, up to 6 hours, and so on. So you had better let someone else drive or risk being the unwilling subject of a test yourself.
Manner, and touch the tip of your nose with the finger that I call out. Would you try that, please? Okay, Mr. Dempsey. That's fine. You didn't do too well on that. How many drinks did you say you had, sir?
1 or 2.
1 or 2 drinks?
2 at the most.
That's a little hard to believe. Would you step over here to the car, please? Sir, you're under arrest for drunk driving.
But people like this prove that even a few drinks seriously impair your ability to see, react, coordinate the most important skills of this motorized age. Don't let a few drinks foul up that complex, finely balanced entity, you, when you have to get behind the wheel.
Do not, under any circumstances, push this button.